And we're back. And in this last video in the chapter, as we said in the last video, we're going to write the script that will drive putting the images in place in the GUI texture for the ammo remaining. Now, this one is going to be a lot like the one for the targets was, but there's going to be a couple of little changes. The first change is that we're not going to change the image every time the player fires a projectile. There's going to be a number of projectiles that they have to fire before the image changes. And that number that we're going to use is 8. Could be different. We'll show you how that works, and you can do things differently if you want, but just how that mechanism works. The other thing we're going to do is add another little test that doesn't let the user fire any projectiles if they're out of their allotted projectiles. We're going to allot them 200 projectiles here in this first go round through this, and when they've fired all their projectiles, when they have none remaining, it's not going to let them fire anything. If we didn't put that in there, they could just keep firing all day long. So just one more little test, a little wrapper logical test that we're going to add to things. And it's not that bad, but you'll see how to do it. And then we'll be finished with the chapter. So let's get to it. So here we go. The first thing we need to do is create our script. So create JavaScript. There it is. And this one is going to be ammo remaining. And enter. And we'll double click to open the editor. And there it is. We're on ammo remaining. So we'll come in, and first we're going to create one of those static variables so that we can change this from the outside world. And we're going to call this int ammo remaining, just kind of the naming convention we used in the targets one. And this is going to be an integer. We're going to set this to an initial value of 200, which is how many projectiles the player will have. Now we need our images for the GUI texture. So image ammo underscore 00 and colon, and this is a texture 2D and semicolon. And now let's move ahead. And there we are. And we've got our case statements that set the GUI texture to all of those different images that we have. We have to link those. We have our external variables. We have our static variable up here that is just like the other one. Then we've got this internal int ammo index, and then this line here. And this line is what actually goes through and makes things work. We'll save it. And now let's talk about this line we have here just a little bit. This one that makes the images only change every 8 shots. So we've created this internal variable called int ammo index, so that our int ammo remaining variable will always count the actual number of those 200 projectiles that are remaining. But then we're going to take an in the function each time it runs. It's going to create this local int ammo index variable, and it's going to set this equal to, and we're going to use a math function, and it's called floor to int, and that's going to round things off to an integer here, because we're not always going to get an even number. But we're going to take our actual counter, the int ammo remaining, and we're going to add 7 to it. And that's because we don't want to drop one image the first shot we fire, because the first one we fire will have less than 200. Using this floor to int, we'll drop it down, so we'd lose our first shot. And we don't care so much about losing that first dot, but when we get down to 1 dot remaining, we don't want that one to go away until the very last projectile has been fired. And that one's more critical. So this way, when there's only 1 projectile left, it will still round to an integer of 1. And the way that works is, so int ammo remaining, if that was only 1, Then we'd add 7 to it, so that would give us 8. Then we divide by 8, so 8 divided by 8 is 1. And floor to int says drop us down to the lowest int, basically get rid of any decimal bits you've got there, which is still 1. That's what we'd have for our ammo index, so we'd still get 1 dot remaining, even when there's only one projectile left. And that's that second case that you can see down there below. That's the case 1, GUI texture.texture equals image ammo 1. Now when that one gets fired, well, then your int ammo remaining actual count is 0 plus 7 divided by 8 is 7/8, 0.875, whatever. But then we do our floor to int, that drops it down to 0, which is what we want. When we've got no projectiles remaining for the user to fire, we want to use that ammo 0 image to reflect that. So this all works. A little bit of math there. There's a number of other ways you could do this. And of course, if you weren't going to do this with 1 image per 8 projectiles, then you'd change those two numbers. If you were going to use, say, 1 image per 5 projectiles, then instead of a 7, you'd have a 4. And instead of the 8, you'd have a 5. So that's how it would work. And you just change those two numbers and it'll work fine. Of course, we've only got 25 images, so you just have 25 times the number that you were going to use per image, and that's how many projectiles that the user would have before you got down to the ammo 00 image. So that's it. That's how it works. And let's move on. So with the script saved, we just close the editor, and there it is. And we click on it to refresh. There we go. And there's our variables at the top and the rest of the script. Come down here to the bottom. There's our references set to none. So we've got to link these all up. So ammo 0, and there it is, and 1, and we're not going to make you sit through all these, so we'll just do a few of them, and then zoom ahead to the end here. And there we come, last couple, and there's the last one. Okay, all connected, and looks good, all in there. We'll come over here and we're going to connect it to the ammo 25 GUI texture. Click on that. There it is. Ammo remaining script, all the images connected. So the next thing we need to do is go into the script where we actually fire a projectile and use that script to update our ammo remaining. So we're going to come down here to the scripts, and actually there it is right there, fire projectile, double click, and there, we're on ammo remaining, so we'll find fire projectile, there it is. So we're going to go in here, we're going to do something where this just fires a projectile. It doesn't say, do we have a projectile to fire? So let's give ourselves a little more elbow room here. And we're going to create an outer if test. And that if test is going to say, do we actually have any projectiles left to fire? And the code for that is if, open parend, and we've got our ammo remaining script, which is where it is, dot int ammo remaining, which is our counter. So if that variable is greater than 0, that means we do have ammo remaining. So close parend, open curly brace, and so now if that is the case, we can go ahead and do this other stuff that fires the projectile. Otherwise, it'd just fire projectiles even if we didn't have any. So we'll move that audio in, and well, probably didn't actually want to move that curly in. So that's there. We need to put this anywhere. Just find an open place. Make some more lines. A little more elbow room. There we go. And then in this line, we're just going to reference the script, ammo remaining, dot int ammo remaining. And this is firing a projectile, so we just need to drop the value of the counter one with our minus minus. And semicolon, there it is. The last thing we need here is a closing curly so that we have enough to match the top. So there we have the first one matches the last one. The second one here matches this one. This one matches this one. Just need to outdent that a little bit to keep things kind of lined up. We'll save our script, and that's good. Now we can close our script editor. Should all be lined up. And there we go. And we fire a bunch. There, one goes away. There's a second one, and a third one, and a fourth one. And we could keep on going through the whole 200. I'm not going to test, not going to get down to the last one. You can do that if you want, but if you coded it like this, it will work. So we'll just save the scene and save our project just for grins, and that's it for this chapter.